1, 2, 3. That wasn't too bad.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Transatlantic Storytelling Unlocked, where we look back across the week of our American partners, Ball State, coming over to Cardiff and working with us, and go through the ins and outs, the details of everything that went on. Today, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by, all the way from Muncie, Indiana, Griff and Leonard.
Hiya.
Rachel Henderson.
Hello.
And, of course, our very own Cardiff Met Sport TV, Cameron Hitt.
Yeah, the novelty Welshman.
The novelty.
The token Welshman.
What a melting pot we got here.
Yeah, what a combination. So I think the first thing we should probably go into is just introduce you guys and tell us your first impressions of Cardiff. You came here when, and what did you do when you first got here?
Yeah, well, we got here, let's see, when was it? A week ago yesterday. We got here last Wednesday. Trip's been incredible so far. We've gotten to be involved with so much. Like getting to work alongside you guys has been unbelievable. Such a nice change of pace from Muncie. Not because the work is different, but just the experiences have been different. And we're getting to travel and see the landscape and see everything, but still doing what we're here to do. So it's a nice little balance of work and play. And it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been definitely a journey getting here. It was a little weird getting here at first and coming in at the wrong time and our room's not being ready. That was probably the hardest part for us because most of us wanted to take a nap. But, we powered through, and being up for a straight, 24 hours, maybe more. It was a little hard coming in, but we got to see the scenes, we got to see everything. It was really neat for us.
Yeah, what was the first thing you did when you landed, aside from taking it?
We went to the pub that was right across from us. We walked in, and I get hangry if I don't get food. And apparently, they didn't start selling food till noon.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
We're not used to that in the States. So you guys have, obviously, pub culture is very big here.
Yeah.
We don't have nearly as many pubs, or we more call them just bars.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of restaurants, and almost all of them will open at 10 or 11 in the morning. So to walk in after a really long flight and be like, okay, we're just going to grab a bite to eat and wait for our rooms to be ready, and then for them to tell us that the kitchen doesn't open for 45 minutes, that was an experience within itself.
And you have half the people being hangry. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
I think all of us went on a walk just to be like, all right, we gotta get used to things around here.
Yeah, the priorities, I think at 11:45 in Cardiff is always beer before food.
So
If I know
crazy.
British people.
That is so crazy.
But yeah, also, cafes is normally, I suppose, where you'd normally go for a morning meal, and then restaurant is more of a night sort of situation.
So, as you say, you come in here, you couldn't get a bite to eat, but then the next day you explored Cardiff a bit, right?
Yeah.
What's your impressions of Cardiff as a city? Obviously, it's very different in terms of size and transportation-wise and everything, but have you enjoyed it?
Personally, I've loved it. Nobody else is going to get the experience like this, and it's such a beautiful country and city in and of itself.
Yeah, I'd take this over Florida any day.
Agreed.
But
Agreed.
I think the biggest thing that first hit me was just how accessible everything was, like walking-wise. Obviously, the concept of a city center isn't completely foreign to us, but even in big cities like Indianapolis, which is the state capital of where we're close to in Muncie, the city center is still encompassed by roads and cars drive through and people walk, but it's much more of a driving hub than it is a walking hub versus the city center where literally they close off the road to a certain extent. You can drive around it, but if you want to walk through, that's the way you're doing it. You're walking or you're biking. You can't just drive through and hit up Taco Bell or something like that.
Yeah.
You've actually got to get on your 2 feet and walk over there. So at least we've gotten our steps in. That hasn't been a bad thing at all.
Very true. Very true.
A lot of steps.
Exhausted?
Well, at times. There's been a couple of times where it's like, okay, let's take 20 minutes.
That's one thing I noticed. I said to Chris yesterday was sort of how busy you guys are. It's just producing content, broadcasting, going to sports games, going on nights out. It must be a bit tiring, if exciting. Tiring.
Well, my goal is if I come back Saturday night and I'm not beat, I can't just fall into my bed and go straight to sleep, then I did this trip wrong. We're only here for 12 days. You have to experience everything, and the big culture about this is nightlife. But then we're also studying. So it's you have to hit those 9 a.m.s and be up here, and then also working and learning how you guys do school and how you guys do broadcast specifically on my part, how you guys edit differently, stuff like that. So it's definitely a not the usual work-life balance we have in Muncie, where it's we only go to class, or at least a sportsing class, twice a week. And then some of us only have classes like maybe for an hour or two, and then we go and just chill at home the rest of the day. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point there. It's like it may be tiring in the moment, but if I look back on the trip and I'm like, I wish I had done this, this, and this, then I'm gonna kind of kick myself.
Yep.
And like I'd rather get half an hour less of sleep and be more exhausted in the moment, but wake up just refreshed and move on with my life, than potentially look back on it in 2 months and be like, I really wish I had done this. So
Yeah.
I think so far we've done a pretty good job of knocking things off the bucket list, or do you call it a bucket list out here? Yeah, or something. Okay, but knocking things off the bucket list and stuff like that. But still 2 more days to have a couple more good experiences. But we'll see where the days take us.
Yeah, I think it's a case of you only regret the things you don't do, right? You know, you can always try stuff. If you don't like it, then you don't have to do it again. But I don't think this is as normal of a week for us either, Cam. Like, it's been so busy.
Yeah.
Like, we're usually we are in 9 till 5, Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesdays, as you saw yesterday, are sort of 9 till 9:30 in the evening. But, like, even for us, it's been intense as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I like appreciated that as well, in the sense is that, you know, and it really has tested our will, but also like our skills as well, and sort of seeing how you guys operate. I mean, sometimes I feel like with our courses, as much as I love it, we are in this like bubble of sort of, you know, everyone and how they work and how they do. And to see, you know, like you yesterday on comms, Griffin, and obviously Rich, you directing yesterday as well, just how different people work. It's like, it's interesting to see, you know, it's nice to see how other people do things. And that's what I think has been great about the experience as a whole.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, though, about us being in a bubble. I think most master's courses are very similar to what you guys have experienced, and other undergrad courses where you do maybe a lecture or two in the morning, you might have a couple hours in the afternoon, and that's sort of sporadic throughout the week. Whereas our course is it's intense and it's kept to itself. We are with each other every day. We know each other inside out. Like, we're a very tight unit, and I think you guys are as well, because you work as a team. You're not doing, for example, like a history master's or a history degree where you're in the library reading books. Like, we're working as a team. We don't write essays individually. We go out and do a broadcast, and I'm listening to you, and I'm listening to you, and I'm talking to you, and it is about working together. So when we say it's like really intense, I think if anyone from Ball State's going to listen to this, if they want to come on Transatlantic Storytelling next year or whenever you next do it, it's not, oh my God, that sounds too intense. It's a case of like, this is the best form of intensity, because it's just constantly good things over and over again. Yeah. Right.
Well, and that's just such a great thing about the media field in general, because you look at the collaboration as a whole, and it's like, I think each of your class and our class, we've been able to come and kind of unite with our own strengths and weaknesses, and we've been able to kind of pick each other up in areas that we need help. And it's one of those things, like when you come on a trip like this and you maybe don't know everything that you think you should, or maybe you just know that you've got a long way to grow. Like we have a first year university student on this trip from our group. It's one of those things that you don't have to know everything, because we're such a tight knit group, and the collaboration is there, where if you don't know something, as long as you're confident enough in yourself to ask for help, somebody's going to be right there to pick you up. And I think that's a great thing about the media field is, in general, there's so much collaboration, so much teamwork, that great things happen when you work together in groups.
And it's also different bringing only like 16 of us here. I mean, like, there's how many of you guys? Like 12 in the master's program, or is there?
I think there's 19.
19?
Yeah.
So like we're a group of 56 back in the States. And so like I was talking to Claire, me and Claire never really talked until we became roommates for this whole entire time. And like now I get to go home and say I have a new best friend. Like, that's something that's really cool to get to experience and meet new people, not only here and getting to know all of you guys and having a great time, but building those deeper connections with the people that are my friends already. Like, I mean, I feel like you and I have talked a lot more, even though we literally hang out with each other all the time, every day of the week.
Maybe a little too much.
Yeah. Like, I need to step away from you. So, just kidding. But, like, we have those deeper connections now, because it's not, it's just us all chilling at the house watching TV. It's, we're doing and experiencing things together to get to know each other more than just the typical back at home. And to speak more about that, like, media stuff, I mean, my mom thinks it's crazy. She's the only person that went to university out of my family, and she's like comparing what she did in university compared to what I'm doing. She's like, you don't study. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're just having fun. And it's like, I freelance back at home too. So it's like, I'm basically working. I'm not going to school. I'm just working. And then I get to come to class and just chill with my best friends. Like, that's how it is in the media field. And it is such a unique experience.
Yeah. So question for you guys, just talking about like the broadcasts in particular with the Bucks Super Rugby, obviously yesterday, well, we're recording this on the Thursday, but this Wednesday of our trip, we had both the football and the rugby broadcasts, as well as a couple up the Archer shows as well. I'm assuming that that's more of a show than you guys are used to, that normally is just rugby. Is that correct?
Yeah, certainly in one day we would often, it depends who's playing home, but we'd have the rugby in the night, maybe an Up the Archer show. We certainly were pushing ourselves with 3 shows, which was so helpful having you guys involved, because I mean, if it was just us, there wouldn't be a chance that we'd maybe have the personnel to sort of have roles for 3 shows. So having you know, like you stepped in on comms, like I mentioned, you directed, Rich, and sort of, you know, a lot of your course mates were on cameras, on replays. Yeah, we were able to really enhance our Wednesdays yesterday, you know?
Yeah, how was that experience as a whole for you guys, having us come in? And I mean, obviously, I think I saw the stats, 35 people total on the broadcast, 19 from you guys, 16 from us. Like, that is a team effort. Like, how was it kind of having, not necessarily have us take over, but having us just join the team out of nowhere? First broadcast that we've been alongside you guys, but I thought it flowed really well.
Yeah, I love it. I love, like, even when it's just us guys, I love supporting everyone. Like, if I'm not involved in Up the Archer, I'll make sure I watch it, and like, you're watching people on camera and you're like, yes, good link, well done, or you messed up, but you recovered well, like, really good job. So it was cool to see so many people just in on it. I think it was a really good gel. Like, all our presenters was always one American, one British. I think that worked really well, and it was cool to have so many intertwining roles. I think it would have been easy to put 2 British people on the soccer commentary, the football commentary, whoever's listening to this, and have, you know, split everyone up and go, all right, we'll just do, the American guys will be on ISO stuff, and we'll just have 2 British presenters because we've done it before or whatever. But everything was split. You had producer, director was always 50-50. Your presenters were always 50-50. And it worked so well, which is testament to you guys to be able to come over here and get on a show or a production that you haven't done before. But also testament to the guys at Met to just go, like, here's what we have to do, and get you guys into it. I don't think it could have gone too much better off the top of my head, other than we are students and there's going to be little slip-ups in presenting or commentary where you get the wrong thing. But other than that, in terms of actual broadcast quality, like, I mean, you directed. Yeah. How was that? I mean, it couldn't have gone much better, right?
Yeah, no, like, it was a very unique experience because it's very different than what we do in the States. Like, it is very, very different. And I don't know anything about rugby. Like, I did my studying, like, I did what I usually do of going through my shot list and trying to figure out how I want everything to be framed up. But then it's like, you come up on the day of and it's like everything, like, literally, I think within an hour and a half before the show even went on, I was like, oh, this is not what I expected. Like, watching it and understanding it from the outsider's point of view, it's like, oh, I can see how they cut this and this. But then you actually sit down, it's like, all right, that's not how it's done. Like, that is not what you're seeing on camera. There's a lot more to it. So I think that was really unique. But at the same time, having Ella there to help me along, like, when she's like, okay, like, you need to cut quicker when the guy goes to kick. You need to go to 1 because we need to see that whole kickoff, whatever. It's like, that really helped. And then towards the end, when it was like, trying, like, that was the hard part for me, is like, in America we have a separate producers director, so having to coordinate with you and Mauer, and then also with the comms guys hearing me 24/7 while I'm trying to, like, direct my cams to get to the show and figure that out was very hectic. So having Ella be like, okay, just say this to the comms guys but keep directing was, like, very nice for me, because I'm like, I forgot about you guys. Like, no, not in a mean way, but, like, I get in my head, like, I'm a director, I'm gonna direct my show, and then I forget, crap, I have commentators. Yeah. I have to be like, okay, we're coming on cam, like, you know. So that was definitely a unique situation for me, but it worked really well having her there and being able to coax me along, which was nice.
Yeah, and then on the commentary side of things, like, I didn't doing the football show. I've done American soccer for a couple of years now, so it's not like I had to necessarily go to the extent to learn an entire new sport, but the work that Harrison in particular did to help me out and get me ready for the show was just so nice. He, I mean, the dude's one of the biggest supporters of that team, and he knew the rosters top to bottom. And I've told you guys, I think that like in America we have a website where all of the statistics, all of the rosters, everything's condensed in one place, and it's super easy to follow and understand. Like if you're trying to prepare for a certain team, you could just search up each player and there'll be a bunch of info about them, personal info and stuff for you to talk about. It's super easy. Here we had none of that. I didn't even know who had scored this season. I just knew how many games the team had won. So for Harrison to really take me under his wing and get me some of that info that I wouldn't have previously had, I think that really added to the broadcast, and it really added to both mine and Jordan's experience of trying to do a game like this, because there were a lot of challenges that I don't think we realized we were going to face. But it was a really good experience overall.
Yeah, I think you made a great point with, like you say, collaborating with Harrison. I think one of the biggest credits for you guys, I think one of the best things that's come out of this whole experience is the adaptability and the way that both people from our cohort and your cohort have sort of made these creative partnerships really quickly, and just being able to make good content as a result. Obviously, all of you guys, with, like you mentioned with Harrison yesterday, you were presenting with Charlie, which I thought worked really well. Charlie obviously provided a bit more of a sort of like general insight. I think that we maybe have lacked with sort of maybe people who weren't as engaged with rugby before. I think he showed sort of an unfamiliar face, which I think helped, if anything, being someone who isn't into rugby. And like you mentioned with Ella as well, and Dom with Reese yesterday. There's so many sort of collaborative, projects that we've had happen over the last week that I think, it's been so good to see. And so, it's such a credit for all of us, I think, just because it's hard to, forge relationships with people that quickly, and to do that and produce work at the same time. I think it's brilliant. I think it's been a real positive of the project in general.
I think it's also a tribute to like people's mindset, because like coming into that, like the broadcast yesterday, and then finding out like replays is a big thing for me, and finding out how you guys did the like replays when I've trained a lot of our replays back at home. I'm like in my head, I'm like, is there any way we can do this differently? And I had to take a second and be like, okay, but we're here to learn the way you guys have to do it. Like that, I can't just come in here and be like, oh, the Americans are taking over. Like I had to get into like your shoes and be like, okay, this is how you've always done it. I'm just gonna learn the way you do it and instead of trying to force it the way I did it. So I think it's definitely a mindset change, because I know even Maurer was like, it was different for him to have me constantly in his ears. So like that's why I was like, in the beginning I asked you, I'm like, okay, when do you want me to talk to you? And I don't think you fully understood that. Like I'm used to having to hit a button to talk to you live, not me constantly talking to you. And so when I was in a producer role last semester, like it was easy. Like I have a producer's voice where I'm quiet and I'm like, okay, here's your question. While my director's voice is very much like, we're taking the camera. Like it's not a, okay, here's your question, So I think that was different for Maurer specifically, because I was very loud in his ears, because that's how I am directing wise. And I think he was a little shaken, because I was like, okay, camera one. All right, we're going to you. Like that's something new, and you have to get that mentality switch coming in here.
Yeah, I think talking of differences, one of the big differences that we all knew before coming together for this is the difference in American college sport and British university sport. I mean, you spoke of Harrison having to dig up facts for you, because over here it is just, it's not quite intramural, but it's, especially things like football, it's not about getting to the pro level. It's about just enjoying. And yeah, you want to be like the best in the country if you can, but you're probably not going to go pro, other than maybe Buck Super Rugby, and maybe a few others in other sports, but pretty much only the Buck Super Rugby is your chance to go pro from uni sport. How did you guys find the whole experience of that? And obviously, I've studied a little bit out in America, and I experienced a bit of that college system and the thousands of fans and the almost professional level setup you guys have. But the crowds, obviously very different. The standard, the facilities, the fact that we can just go down to the football pitch and just play there if we want to and use the facilities. Like, how much of a mind shift was that?
It was an interesting experience for sure, because, yeah, as you mentioned, the culture is just very, very different. Americans take their collegiate sport very, very seriously, especially American football and especially basketball. And this time of year, March Madness right around the corner. And there's some people listening to this that might be like, what is March Madness? But that you ask any American, even if they don't care about sports, they know what
We've been
March
doing
Madness
brackets
is.
since we're in elementary school.
But as far as collegiate sports go, it's been interesting to see the changes because we're used to having quote unquote poor attendance in football and men's basketball. We have one of the worst attendances in our level in football, and yet we average about 11 to 12,000 fans per game. And that's bad.
Yeah.
But looking at here in comparison to, and I wasn't at the rugby, so I don't know how many people showed out, but to see the football where there was probably only about 75 people there, maybe, it was definitely a bit of a change to see a sport that's taken so seriously here have that kind of turnout compared to American soccer, where Ball State games will probably still get more than that, despite not really being much of a big deal in the States.
Yeah. And I think another thing to touch on, like going back to the broadcast, I just brought up professionalism. One thing that like I saw myself like not like being cautious of when I was directing is like we're taught don't show anything that's like bad. So like if there's a bad sign, don't show it. If someone's flipping you off, don't show it. Like if someone's half naked, don't show it. But like you couldn't escape that yesterday. Like it was what, WWE? And it was like you had all these people, like I'm pretty sure someone had like duct tape over themselves. And I'm like,
that was me actually.
Yeah, it was you. But I'm like, I was on the shot and like, you know, our roaming camera, I'm like, this is really good. I'm going to take it. If I get flagged for it, like there's nothing else I can do. And like, you know, Ado was helping and he didn't say anything bad about it. He's just like, you know, just take the shot. And I'm like, okay, that's very different because I would have been like, all right, you're never directing again. You're blacklisted. Like that's very different. That's a very professionalism way you take it. And I think injuries too, like what you guys would push in on the injuries. And I think that was a little bit shown a little bit different on camera here than what they are in America.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the crowd there. Obviously, the Ultras were dressed up as WWE wrestlers. I was speaking to, I think it was Jackson, about the crowds, and he was saying if crowds in the US chant anything offensive at like the benches or the players, like they can be removed. Whereas over here, it's not quite encouraged, but I mean, it's completely different. I mean, European sports, you guys went to Cardiff Devils, right? The atmosphere levels is completely different. I think we love it. It's almost a kind of intimidation factor towards the opposition. Whereas in America, from my experience, it's about celebrating your own. Over here, it's we hate the opposition. Yeah. How good was that? Especially yesterday, obviously, Cardiff Met have probably the best fans in the UK for the Bucks Super Rugby, but the Devils as well, the Cardiff Devils ice hockey. What was that like?
I think it was a cool experience, and then I guess an additional experience I had yesterday was going to Cardiff City to see the football, and I believe I brought this up with you earlier today, but the fans are it's small but mighty, right? Like I think that if American fans had the same level of passion and support, it would just be absolutely mental. And you have crowds here that maybe aren't necessarily as big in numbers, but the passion and how much they truly care is just something that you really don't see. At least you don't hear in the States. Like you have a lot of diehard fans, but the culture as far as how you show that support is a little bit different. But it's been interesting to see how the crowds show out. And obviously the hockey, we went to the Devils last Friday. There were only 3,000 people there, but the stadium was sold out, and there were people with flags. And the opposing team, that's another thing we don't have in the States. And it's not because people don't want to travel to see their teams. It's just because the country is so large. Unless you have a local rivalry, you really don't have a whole lot of the other team's fans in the stadium. And you certainly don't have an organized section like you typically do here. They're kind of just strewn across the stands. But to see there be an opposing section that we're rooting along, Cardiff City had the other team's fans isolated in the corner so everybody could kind of laugh at them. But they drove 4 hours from Huddersfield to see their team play on a Wednesday night where I'm sure most of them had work.
Crazy.
Like it's just a different atmosphere, a different culture than we have in the States, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, and you're a big ice hockey fan, Rachel, so
talk
to me about the Devils.
I loved it a lot. I mean, obviously, I was up in the broadcast part during the second period where everything happened, but it was also cool from, again, the broadcast side of it because, yes, I'm a huge ice hockey fan, but I also see it from the broadcast side, so seeing that difference was kind of cool, and how they controlled the chaos. That's my big thing in broadcasting is controlling the chaos. But seeing that was really cool, but then also just being able to be a fan. Like, I think it was you, Griffin, that looked at me and it was like, I'm just happy to see that you've been wanting to be a fan in an ice hockey stadium and forever, and I hadn't been able to. Like, the Indy Fuel, I work for them. I can't go and be a fan. So being able to be there, I bought a sweatshirt jersey, and I was just like, I love it. I was being able to cheer. I was able to have fun. Like, that was something I haven't been able to do in forever. So that was just neat getting to experience that. It was kind of not boring, but the first and third period, nothing happened. It was the second period.
I wouldn't say nothing happened.
No, well, it wasn't as exciting as like that second period hit, and it's like I had to go back into my work mode phase. Like, I was back upstairs and like, okay, I'm watching everything. And then I did get to chat with you and Clakey a little bit, which was cool, and cheer them on. But at the same time, I was still in like that, okay, I'm like watching this from like a worker's point of view, not in a fan base. But I loved it. It was great. It was fantastic. I wish I could have been up on the boards more. That's my favorite thing. You guys had like them off the boards. Like, there was a walking path. When in America, you can go up, and when those ice hockey players hit the boards, you're pushing them right back. Like, you are shoving back to get them to fall on the ice. And that is something that I grew up loving. I was always the first one on the boards. I had a best friend that I always call my brother. I'm an only child, so I don't have any siblings. And I would follow him all through the Midwest to watch hockey. And so when he'd come up to the boards, I'd always be shoving him back when he'd hit somebody into the boards. And I'm like, get him down, you know? So I think that's one thing that if I were to correct the Devils ice hockey is get those seats up there so that the fans can push them into the board back.
Yeah. Now, Cam, Matt was talking about how he's been able to go to America and kind of see a little bit of American sports. Have you gotten the chance to be out in America at all?
I haven't. I've been to America once, and it was to go to the Caribbean. So I didn't really go to America. But yeah, no, obviously before you guys came, I had a keen interest in American football. I sort of, when the season's on, I try and stay up when I can, obviously because the time difference is a bit of a struggle. So yeah, that's the main reason I was excited for the experience, to sort of have you guys come over and ask you about sport. Because I mean, from our point of view, I think everything that you were sort of attracted to about our sport, like say that it's a bit more sort of home and away based, that it's a bit more sort of partisan slightly. That I sort of feel the same about you guys. For me, it's like it's all a spectacle. I love that you get these 100,000 college crowds and things like that. So yeah, to learn, I obviously had the conversation with in the pod studio the other day with Josh and things like that about American sports, and just to learn how you guys do things. And I think, and even from a working point of view, watching yourself and Dom yesterday, the way they were on camera, like you said, Rich, talking about your sort of preparation style before directing and things. It's just been it's been a great experience to sort of see how other people do it. And yeah, like we mentioned, we had a talk the other week from a commentator who works in Cardiff, and he talked to us about adaptability and sort of going, he's had to do these jobs in sort of volleyball in third world countries and, these sort of really obscure sports, and learning on the fly, like you mentioned, Griffin, knowing no information about, a team or a sport. And I don't want to put words in you guys' mouth, but that's one thing I think you will have picked up from this experience is go into somewhere alien, working on sports that maybe are slightly alien, seeing different working environments. I think it really will enrich, how you guys work, because obviously you are at quite a high standard, but maybe in future jobs, you might be somewhere that you're a bit unfamiliar with. And I think this experience will be great for that as a sort of, a shooting off point.
Yeah, the funny thing about that, though, is, this is being unlocked, right? We're finding the background to it. So coming here, we had to fill out forms about what we were going, like application-based, what we were trying to accomplish when coming across the pond to here. And one thing I had stated is I want to go big as a director. Like, I want to go to CBS. I want to go to those top networks. I want to direct the Super Bowl one day, And I said my big thing is working with people that are unlike us in America. Like, that was my big thing, and adapting to it, because that's ultimately what it is our field. And the big thing is communication, and learning to get along with different people who aren't like you. And so coming here and like being able to adapt with you guys, basically becoming friends in one night, which was so cool to me, was something that I think is really going to help me back in the States when I go back and working with, I've got another year left in SportsLink. So when the next freshmen come up, being able to talk with them and be like, okay, like, I know you guys aren't from here. This is your first year, and explaining more and adapting to that is going to be really, really unique. And especially because the company I may or may not want to work for works with MLR. So that's going to help a little bit. So.
Yeah, I think Cam and yourself there, you've hit the nail on the head in terms of experience. I think the courses obviously are very different. That you guys are on 4 years and you get a lot more exposure to the industry, and you probably are a lot better at a lot of things. But coming over here, what you learn is very, very different. I think we're going to naturally learn from you guys just how you do things because you've had more experience, how you direct, how you film features, all down to the little things of how you color grade. Whereas for you guys coming over here, it's more of a learn how to adapt, right? Cam, you absolutely smashed it there. And it's not going to be a case of you've got a stats guy giving you all the stats. You got to go get it. You got to use journalistic skills now. We've got to go find a coach and talk to him and tell us what is the starting lineup. Because I'm not going to know it. No one's going to tell me. We just have to get... What squad numbers? They don't even know.
Yeah, don't even get me started on the numbers. Like, come on.
They're gonna
That's
pick
the one thing. Change that.
They're going to pick the squad numbers out of a hat, the Bucks football team, or the squad list for rugby. They're going to have different players wearing different numbers. Like, you guys have got to work that out. And whilst we may be picking up so much on an actual physical broadcasting perspective, I think for you guys, it must be a good experience to just come over here and see, oh my God, we have so much to do that we never usually have to do. And it's all about adaptability. So that's cool. But we probably should talk about the main reason you're here, the name of this, right? Transatlantic Storytelling. In an elevator pitch of 30 seconds, Griffin, why are Ball State here?
Well, it's really just about getting to experience the culture of Wales and getting to tell the stories of the people who have been able to impact and be impacted by those stories. And my story, for example, a woman named Funmi who was a basketball player with a lot of promise. She was getting Division I American offers, and then what should have been a standard surgery went wrong, and now she can't play basketball anymore. And the way that she's grown and the way that she has been able to rely on the people around her and grow as a human, even if she can't grow as a basketball player, and what she's been able to find instead and just embrace the situation she's in, I think is incredible. And the stories like that we've been able to tell is just so powerful.
Yeah. And Cam, what have you found from these guys coming over and producing these stories? Is there anything, because we talk about both way learning, obviously these guys learn off us. What have you picked up from these guys the most on these transatlantic stories?
Yeah, I think that you guys' ability to just tell stories is amazing. And, you know, obviously we've got documentaries to film within the coming months. So this, just seeing how you guys operate and have conducted interviews, found information about people, even the simple things like gather B-roll for stories. It's just been amazing to see. But I think it's that ability to find stories everywhere. Like you mentioned with Funmi there, that, it's a really heartfelt story and, does really tug on the heartstrings. But you've also had The American House with E.C. Cantrell, which is, maybe slightly more upbeat and a bit more of a human interest story. So it hasn't like you've come out here and thought, well, tell me, 5 really depressing things and I'll tell stories about. You've looked at a lot of individual people and individual stories and found a narrative there, found something that gets audiences engaged. And I think, that's really, struck with me because I've tried so hard with the documentary. I find the most interesting thing. Let's try to find the most relevant person. But I don't think it's, you guys have proven it's not about that. It's more about, really getting access with these people and just allowing them to, open up and tell a proper story,
Yeah, I mean, bringing that back, like on the American side, like our big thing in SportsLink is finding those hard-hitting stories. Like, I mean, we've done the Legacy this year, which was one of our top women's volleyball players. It's her last year, and we made her cry. Like, that's Tristan's thing, is make the athletes cry, get their heart on the page. You probably also saw like the broadcast where it was On the Line, where we see Kozel, I could always forget his first name. He was crying about losing his father. Like, it's all of like these sad stories, but there's also the other people that like. One I'm doing is just about a girl who's a freshman Division I golfer who's a homeowner and also runs her own house renting business. And so it's very different seeing, like, again, that collaboration of everybody coming together, and you've got the heavy hitting stories that might get the most views, but there's also the other people that they just don't have stories, but there's also something that it's like there's little takeaways of, oh, these athletes are normal, like they're just like us. And that's one thing that SportsLink likes to hit home on too, is, not every athlete's going to have that trauma from the backside of it, but the people like Stephen Curry and LeBron James or Joe Burrow, any of those American players, sports players back in home, we all put them on a pedestal that we're like, oh, we can't touch them. But once you kind of break down their story and be like, oh, they put their pants on the same way, like they're more human to you. And I think that's one thing that we try to capitalize big on, is not just the trauma, I guess, but also who are they on a daily basis, and not be scared of them.
Yeah, it's the humanization of the athletes at the end of the day that I completely agree with Rachel. It's a big thing for me. Like when I tell a story, I want to try to get away from the sport itself. Like if there's a reason that the sport connects to it, sure. But like if you can tell a story about why they're who they are and not maybe why they're so good at basketball or so good at rugby or something. I think that's where it's more powerful. It doesn't have to be a super sad story. Like it could be just a challenge that they've faced that they've overcome and they've used that experience to put them in a better position in life. And like just seeing these athletes who have found so much success on the field to see how they've gotten to that point. That's what we really try to push for in SportsLink. And some of it may be related to the sports, some of it may not be. But it's about taking a step back and just realizing, okay, this guy, this girl, they're a person. They've got parents, they've got people around them. They're not just wake up, oh, it's time for basketball. It's like this is who they are, this is why they are who they are. And those stories can be really inspiring, really powerful.
Yeah, I think going a little bit left field, for me, one of the big things I've picked up is just like little things. I say big things. Some of like the little things you guys do. It's like when we make little features that go out on our athletes, we film it, we go get the B-roll, and we produce it. Whereas you guys, you'll get all that, and within probably a day, less than a day of filming it, you've got out a teaser already. You've already got the EC Cantrell and Porter Goodrum, like little teaser, little preview that goes out. I mean, we don't do things. It didn't even come into my mind. We can do it. It's just not something that our cohort tends to do, right?
Yeah.
I will be honest on that one. That's new to us too. That is very new to us. Again, I'm on the broadcast side track of things, and that was my first time ever pushing out a video that fast. But our big thing this semester that CT Chris Taylor has majorly pushed for us is to put out these little docs to help people engage and know there's a story coming up. So it's like, her story is going to be a lot longer. It's going to go, I don't even know how long. I mean, Tristan's going to probably be one of the lead edits on it. But it's helping that, we know something's going to come up for this and getting viewers ready and putting it in the back of their mind to be like, okay, this is coming up. We can look out for it rather than, like, I don't know if you guys go much into, like, Instagram analytics or anything about social analytics, but, like, in America, the best time to post is probably about 5 to 7 o'clock because that's when people are sitting down and looking at their phones, and that's when your feed's going to come through. So let's say you have an amazing story coming up and it's like, I want to post it today, and you post it like 9 o'clock. Well, you're not going to get the views on that. Like, that's probably going to be out the window. So having these little teases that come out at a certain time, then they're going to know, okay, oh, crap, this is supposed to be released today. No matter what time it's going to release, we're going to go look for it. So I think that's something that when CT told us to do that, it really struck home with me, and that was something I wanted to do when we got here. And also the video was beautiful when we went and shot, and so I was like, I'm going to color this now and put it together. So that was kind of my ambition.
I think as well on that, like you mentioned, Matt, with the pace, things coming out and sort of moving really quickly, that's another thing that I've been really impressed with seeing you guys come over is the way that you've really quickly forged relationships with these athletes you're doing stories on or with these people you are, and got them to open up, tell their stories, do interviews, really give themselves over to you guys as features. And that's a hard thing to do when you know people for 2 or 3 years, let alone when, you've maybe had a couple of calls before, a couple of emails, you met them this week, and all of a sudden you're saying, tell me your life story. So you've really got to have great personal skills and great storytelling skills to be able to do that with athletes. So yeah, seeing that whole process of you guys doing that's been so big for me, and I've been so impressed by that.
Well, and that's one of the big challenges that I've faced trying to learn and grow in the media field is trying to build those relationships and not, I guess, for lack of a better word, exploit those stories and exploit those people. Just because, like, I think there's a bit of a stigma around the media field where a lot of those people, like, they tell those stories, but they're doing it for themselves. They're not telling it to actually tell those athlete stories. So trying to learn and see how I can show the person I'm working with that I truly do care about them and I want to tell their story, and it's not just because I have to do something for school, and like I'm working on a story back home right now on It's one of the baseball players for our school, and he went on a mission trip to the Dominican Republic, and he met up with this 4-year-old little girl who only spoke Spanish. They had no way of communicating, but she latched on to him, and they became like best friends. They couldn't speak a word to each other, but they just hung out like the whole trip that he was there, and he was just his life was changed by it, to see the culture and how people live there, and to build those relationships. And I want to tell that story and talk about that culture, but I don't want to take advantage of him, and definitely don't want to take advantage of that little girl. And it's just one of those things. It's one of those challenges that we face in the media field, trying to navigate and learn. But I think the more you do it, the more you really can, I guess, just learn within yourself, like, okay, this matters to me. Why does it matter to me? And how do I show them that it matters to me? I guess, if you know what I'm saying.
No, definitely.
Yeah. Amazing. That's a good story, by the way. That's a great story.
I'm looking forward to it.
So just before we wrap up, I've got a little game that I want for these two. Cam, you're going to join in as well.
Okay.
You got to give one word answer here.
Oh.
And I'm going to give you a choice of this or that, and you've got to say what you prefer, okay? We'll start off easy. And these guys, you've all visited these before. So we'll start off with the Principality Stadium or Cardiff Castle.
Cardiff Castle.
Principality.
Cardiff Castle. I love Cardiff Castle.
Oh, thank goodness.
Loves Cardiff Castle. Okay. Rugby or American football?
Be careful.
You don't even, Rachel, you don't even have to think about that answer. Just move on. Just go with what you know.
Okay, I'm saying American football for the sole reason they pay me.
Yeah.
And
Sorry,
I'm
when
saying
MLR
American
starts
football,
paying me.
regardless of whether or not they pay me.
I'm going to throw you a curveball. I agree. I'm serious. I was only joking. Like, I stay up till 4. Thanks, Griff. I stay up till 4 a.m. to watch some American football. I probably wouldn't do that for rugby. So yeah, you've indoctrinated me. I can't lie.
Time to come to America.
There we go. Okay. Let's get down to the big question now. Live Lounge or Misfits?
Oh, okay.
It's going to take some thought.
This is going to take some definite thought. I think some people are going to hate me for this one, though. But definitely Misfits. Yeah.
Ella Jones is not happy.
I'll say the Live Lounge. I think Misfits was cool, but for me, I have to be at a certain mindset for karaoke. And
You're definitely in that mindset.
I have to indulge in ways, if you know what I mean. I don't know. I obviously pub culture is big here, but I don't know how specific we want to be. But let's just say sobriety and karaoke do not mix for me. But the Live Lounge is a cool place. We went there once in the afternoon. Was it our first day? I believe it was.
It was our first day.
Our first day, we went in 4, 5 in the afternoon before dinner.
Very different.
But it was a different experience. But it was interesting because it was much more laid back. It was live music.
Yeah.
It was just somebody up there with a guitar, and we could just kind of sit and enjoy and drink. And then we went back at 1 a.m. And it was a much different experience. But it was a good time. So yeah, I'd go Live Lounge.
Yeah. Misfits.
Yeah.
You're a Misfits guy.
I'm always in the mood for karaoke.
You are a misfit.
A misfit in his natural habitat. Yeah,
the photo booth was what got me. I love the photo booth. That was
and the spaceman monkey.
Yeah.
I was expecting 3 Live Lounges there. That's really shocked me.
You got any more for us?
Yeah, you never even answered the question yourself, by the way.
Yeah.
All 3 of those.
I'll give you my answers.
Okay.
we got the big ones now. 3 more. Okay. Ball State campus?
Yes.
Or Kinkoid campus?
And Ball State.
Ball State campus.
Sorry. Come to Ball State. You'll change your mind.
Yeah, I probably would.
Come to Ball State.
I will say Ball State. I've enjoyed this campus, but it is a little small. Yeah. Like Ball State, it's quite spacious. Like there's a lot of area to walk around. It kind of feels like this is kind of jammed into a neighborhood, which isn't bad. But like if I'm looking to you guys talked about the feeling of being in a bubble. When you have a campus the size of Ball State, even if you just need 30 minutes away from
SportsLink.
From SportsLink,
The
you could
studio.
just walk to the other side of campus and enjoy a bite to eat 3/4 of a
back.
mile away. And it's a nice little campus. I like it.
Do you have to pay for parking on Ball State?
Oh,
It's an
don't
it's an
even.
annual pass.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
our
not the end of the
parking
world.
services, they get you. They get you.
They
And I
nabbed me the
have some
day.
beef
They
with
nabbed me the
parking.
day before we left because I was 10 minutes late in a spot that I paid for because I was in a meeting and it ran long. But it is what it is.
I hate Ball State parking.
Kincoid. Yeah, that wins.
I'll give it Kincoid. American accent or Welsh accent?
I'm gonna go with Welsh accent.
Yes.
I feel basic in my American accent.
I will say I think it's one of those things that you don't hear the accent. Like I don't hear my American accent because it's just the way I talk. It's the way that other people talk. I like the Welsh accent, but I can also feel myself like slightly changing
Yes.
just naturally
I
because
feel like I'm
around
being
it all
rude
the
to you
time.
guys
Exact
by
same
like
So-
changing my accent a little bit.
I feel like if I was around it too much, then I wouldn't appreciate it and enjoy it as much. So I'm going to go American accent just so that when I have the Welsh accent, or not have it, but when I'm around it, I can enjoy it more.
Yeah. I have actually enjoyed you guys' accents. I've liked it. It's been nice to hear some different noises. You get fed up of hearing Matt earing round in the room for months on end. So yeah, no, it's been nice to hear some different voices. But yeah, the Welsh accent.
I do like the Welsh accent, but it's hard to understand sometimes.
What's you
No
guys'
offense.
favourite, I suppose Welsh, but Britishism? You know, something that we say that you've noticed that you've been like, oh, I like that.
I think bloody.
Bloody.
That's always funny to
Bloody's
me.
good.
Every time someone says it, I'm like, okay.
It's a bloody good word.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a bloody good one.
Sorry, mate.
That's all.
Mate's a good one.
Mates.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
That
a bit
is-
more
It's an
that's a
easy
bit
one.
more
See,
PG.
okay,
Cheers.
the one thing that confuses me though is that when you guys say okay, like you guys okay, like it's like yeah, I'm fine.
This,
like that.
Yeah, this had so many issues when I was in Long
I'm
Beach.
like like you guys will say that, and I'm just like, yeah, do I not look okay? Like, am I just like look like not good this
Yeah,
morning?
yeah.
How
You
do
know,
you
but
guys
it's
introduce yourselves then? Like, say you haven't seen anyone.
Just how's it going? How
are
are
ya?
you? What's up?
it means the same. No, see,
You
over
know,
there,
it is the same
okay.
thing, but when someone asks you in the States, are you okay? It's like, are you
like
are
a
you
serious
are you
question.
are you
Yeah.
fine or are you unwell? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
so-
Right.
Ah.
Do you need
like if
medical
I wake
attention?
up and I have my glasses and a bun on, people will be like, "You okay?" I'm like, "No,
No,
it's been a rough
not
day."
really,
like, no,
mate.
like that's when people would ask that. Like, not,
Yeah.
"You okay?"
The equivalent if we went up to each other in the morning and be like, yes, Cam, how you doing? Do you need medical attention?
Yeah, it's literally like that was a shock, especially when people at the
It'd mostly be
restaurant.
yes.
They would like come up to me in the restaurant and are you okay? Yeah.
As far as
a
I know.
burger. Like,
Yeah.
what?
with some fried chips.
Chips, sorry.
Oh, man. Okay. Cardiff. This is one about the cities here. Cardiff or Muncie?
Cardiff.
One word answers.
I know Cardiff, but because we can edit it if it Cardiff. There's my one word answer. BTS. Muncie is nice, but it gets old. There's not as many unique things to do, but I feel like Cardiff's another thing where if I was around it too much, I wouldn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love Cardiff.
Yeah, you can't really answer the other
If
one.
you
no.
guys,
No,
yeah.
I mean, I can't speak on Muncie, but I love Cardiff.
Well, if you come to Muncie, you'll get bored really quickly because we have 2 bars.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
that's it.
two student bars.
Two student
there's
bars.
bars in the
The rest
okay.
are like what you would call I would call a pub where you just sit at this wooden bar top and you just talk to people that are like 80 plus years old. Like that's the other
I'm
probably
interested.
10.
That sounds fun.
Timbers. Shout out to
This
Timbers.
could be controversial, but I'm English, and I think Cardiff might be my favourite city in the UK.
Ooh.
Really? That's that is high praise.
Think if you go to other places in the UK, it's very like London is very. You feel smothered. You feel like everyone's going at about 100 miles an hour, and
Doesn't
you
it
just
also smell bad?
yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit. I've been told some places in Cardiff, but I mean, yeah, and like even Bristol's the same. You like everything feels really fast paced. Cardiff is like a nice balance. It's not. It's busy. If you want to go and do stuff, you can, but if not, you can also like go on the outskirts, go on the grass. I don't know why I'm selling Cardiff. This isn't an advertisement.
It's just love how walkable it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got one for you, Purdy.
Oh,
Alabama American football or Cardiff Met rugby.
Cardiff Met rugby.
Have you been to Alabama American football?
No.
I thought you went to Alabama.
I went to Long Beach.
He was
Oh,
Long
you went
Beach.
to
They
Long Beach.
Long Beach.
What was
Oh
Long
no,
Beach
here's
football?
one. Long Beach volleyball, men's volleyball, or Ball State volleyball. Men's volleyball.
Long Beach volleyball, they're better.
Terrible
You're wrong
take.
for that.
You're not
We're
wrong
gonna
in that
convert
they're
you.
technically better, but terrible take.
They're better.
End the show.
Yeah.
Long Beach men's football have been unbeaten for about 23 years. They haven't played for 23 years. They don't
Oh
have a
yeah,
team,
that does
but
help.
They are unbeaten this century.
I'm unbeaten at football in about 23 years.
Well, then you didn't get the real American experience. Then
No.
you didn't go to the right school.
Had a better one than Muncie. Okay, here's the big one.
Chirp chirp.
Joe Towns or CT?
Oh god.
Oh.
It's like
Well-
asking who's your favorite child.
Yeah, that's.
Who's your favorite dad?
Well, we got to go back with CT. So I have to say CT, or I'm going to be left behind.
Can I plead? Is pleading the fifth a thing here?
Yeah.
The Fifth Amendment? No.
No, yeah, well, it's not a thing, but
Not
I
in
know
this
You
the
know what I
question.
mean?
Not in
Okay.
this
No,
I'm-
yeah, not in this scenario though. You've got to pick one.
Oh gosh.
Just remember, there's like over probably 10 hours with CT, and we go back.
Yeah, and the rest of your course.
Yeah, and the
For
last
the next
year and a half.
yeah.
But Joe has. Joe
Amazing. He's amazing.
Joe's amazing, and he's got hair.
He's a pro of Joe.
I'm gonna go with CT. Love you, CT.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe. Just because I'm scared of him.
He's a sweet guy. Love
Yeah,
Joe.
no, he's
Top
nice.
tier.
I'm gonna go Joe.
Yeah, but I do love Chris as well. I've learned a lot from Chris actually. To be fair, he's been really useful to sort of tell me how, like, say, collegiate sports and stuff works, and the storytelling stuff. So yeah.
To be fair,
It's weird to hear you say Chris though. Like it's not Chris. It's CT.
Does everyone just call him CT?
It's
Yeah.
CT.
Yeah.
to be
Very
fair,
Chris.
I think they'd run an incredible program together.
Oh my
Because I
gosh.
think they're
Yeah.
almost at either side of Joe's specializing in live broadcast, like he's worked at Wimbledon, the Olympics, and everything.
Right.
And CT's just incredible at storytelling. Like they
Amazing.
just do the perfect course together. It's almost good that they don't, because it'll be too good,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't get onto the course. So
Yeah.
I still don't even know how I got in the course in the first place.
So that was a game. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Now the final things I would say, and I guess I want all three of you, especially you two. So this, hopefully, next year's cohort or whoever wants to come on Transatlantic Storytelling will listen to this podcast. So I just want you to sum up how good has this course been personally, in terms of just sheer fun and also for broadcasting.
I mean, it's amazing. I've already had a couple people, especially some of the freshmen and sophomores back at home, be texting me and just be, like saying they want to come here next year just because I post a lot. So they obviously know what we're doing here. And they're like, we want to go just from the experience that we're seeing you do. But at the same time, like, I just love everything about it. Like, I'm a very social person, if you guys haven't noticed. So being able to meet a crap ton of new people, and then also, like I said, making that promo for my first time that quick, it was nice to just be able to sit down here and have a week of, yes, there's constant busyness, but we didn't have any other classes. So we could sit in the studio and just knock that stuff out. So that in of itself really helped train me in responsibility of fast moving, fast paced, getting all that, and like learning to edit a little bit quicker. And then again, the broadcast side, like that's really, really a big hitting home point for me, and seeing how you guys do it and how you guys all communicate. Like, if someone wanted to make it big, like I feel like this is something you have to experience, is just knowing when to adapt, how to communicate, all that stuff. So definitely do it.
And what would you say to the cohort who wants to come along? Would you advise it?
Yeah. For someone who's never previously had the chance to really leave the country other than going to the Caribbean, like it's my first time abroad. It's been just absolutely incredible. And the storytelling and all of that aside, just the chance to come with a group of your best friends and experience another culture and get to meet new people, that alone was just absolutely incredible, and it still is incredible. I'm so happy we still have a couple of days left.
Yeah.
But the opportunity to come out and tell these stories and really get to envelop yourself within another country and learn just what it means to be outside of the U.S., I would recommend it to anyone. But yeah, some of these memories and the people that we've met, yeah, you'll never forget it.
Amazing. And Cam, from
Yeah.
our
I
perspective,
don't know why I'm sounding off. I'm just thank you guys. I appreciate you guys coming over. It's been, it's just been great. It's just been good to see fresh faces in general. But yeah, just again, like I said, seeing how you guys operate, seeing how you guys do things, tell stories, and in the media business, almost more than anywhere, you learn from, one, doing things, but also seeing how people do things. There's only so much you can really learn in a classroom. So seeing you guys come over here, do your thing, be very, very busy, and just engaging everything has I've been very grateful to play a part in it. So yeah, cheers guys, and come again.
Yeah, same for me. It's been so good to meet you guys and see what you do. So yeah, and you're all just incredible people. So
yeah.
Right back at you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming now.
Stay in
It's
contact,
just got a
guys.
bit cheesy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry.
Oh, Mr. Crying.
Favorite moment since you've been here.
Favorite moment? I think it has to be the broadcast. I mean, that was the thing I was looking forward to the most coming here, and then being able to do it successfully, and then all you guys saying that I kicked butt. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, yesterday for me as well. I obviously wanting to go on air and do broadcasting after university, getting the opportunity to commentate Welsh football, absolutely extraordinary, and then going and seeing Welsh football at a high level, was just unbelievable. But yeah, there's too many memories to pick through. I was sitting here while Rachel was going. I'm like, can I go with the top 5? Like,
Yeah, there's probably more. Yeah, but
yeah. Otherwise, we'd be here another hour. But
Right.
yeah, great
I
stuff.
think my favorite moment is when we all went to buy alcohol and we came out and someone
oh
went.
my gosh.
Someone went, Griffin Leonard's got 2 donuts. And he turned around he turned around and went, no, I don't. I've got 3!
Okay, but like the fact that we got to have drinks and walk down the street in of itself. We had 30 of us sitting outside the
that was
store.
weird.
Like that is hilarious to me.
It was a fever dream, but it was very good.
Favorite moment?
I don't know. It's a good point. I did love the Devils. I loved seeing, at one point in the Devils, it was, like I said, third period, things had got quite silent. And all you guys obviously were quite tired, probably still a little bit jet lag sitting down. And Griffin Leonard was the only man in the arena standing up, waving his flag like that. So that sums him up.
That man
But,
never sleeps. Let's be honest
so
here.
I have had a couple of nights where I've been up till 2 a.m. watching American sports because they're on so late here. But
I don't know where
Yeah,
you guys
we
have got
walked
the
in.
energy from, honestly.
We were walking to get water to go to bed, and here comes Griffin with his laptop. Hey guys, how are you? Dude, go to bed.
when are you
Thanks.
coming to America?
Yeah,
Let's book the flights. Let's do it.
yeah,
As soon as possible.
please.
Yeah, maybe next year. Indiana 2025.
Yeah.
It'll be
You
awesome.
need to experience
Let's do
it.
Well,
Stay
it
in
won't be us,
contact.
but yeah, they're still.
We've got houses. You can sleep on some couches.
Yeah.
You heard it.
Better than
us.
sports whales. No offense. No offense.
And with that, we'll end it there, guys. Thanks so much for coming on and talking to us and unlocking transatlantic storytelling.
Yeah.
It's been an absolutely incredible week and a half, as I'm sure you'll agree. And I'm sure we'll be friends for as long as we can.
Fingers crossed.
Cheers.
Cheers.